Heyo, my lovely rain clouds. My name is Skylar, and as you can see, this is going to be a slight rant of sorts. I put this on Twitter, and then I realized that this was going somewhere. It was a thread that I did, and then I was like, this is good, but I want to adapt this more before I put it on any other social media. So I put it more in-depth version into my notes on my phone, and then I posted it on Facebook, and now I'm doing a video on it because why not? Anyway, the title of this was called Gender. The way I started this off was with a definition, not Urban Dictionary, Wikipedia dictionary version of this. Gender. Noun, gender, plural noun, genders. The state of being male or female, in parentheses, typically used with reference to social and cultural differences rather than biological ones. The origin of the word is Latin. It's genus, I think is how you say that, meaning birth, family, or nation. To be male or female is assigned to you at birth. Not always correct. There can be mishaps where the person is wrong and you were not that assigned gender, and I'll get into that more. Gender has been defined as being infinite in recent studies of science. Transgender. Adjective. Nothing or relating to a person whose sense of personal identity and gender does not correspond with their birth sex. As previously mentioned, there can be mistakes. I'm sorry, my phone volume is on and I forgot to turn it down, and that was my notification sound. I apologize. In Latin, the word trans is a prefix. It means on the other side of. Gender fluid. Hello. Adjective. Denoting or relating to a person who does not identify themselves as having a fixed gender. So this means you can fluctuate between male, female, non-binary, or just nothing. Or you can transition, that's not what I'm trying to say. You can fluctuate between nothing and female, nothing and male, or just nothing, which would be in bi. But it's a state of not having a fixed gender, if you get that. If you are LGBTQ, you probably get the definition, but I'm bad at explaining things, so I'm sorry if you're not LGBTQ and we're coming to this to understand that. Probably not the best person to make you understand what gender fluid is. Even though I myself am gender fluid. I can't explain things well. I'm probably not going to be a great YouTuber at that fact, but I'm going to try my best to explain these things to you as we go. Androgynous. I can't speak. I am so sorry. So sorry. Androgynous. We're going to go with it. Partly male and partly female in appearance, of intermediate sex. Tell me how an article of clothing can have a gender if it is not a birth, family, or nation. It is an object, a thing, a noun. A person has while it is a noun, it is not a person. A person has a mind and a heartbeat. But the last time I checked, a princess dress doesn't have a heartbeat. Science has proven that our brains can be female, male, or both, or neither. Our bodies are a vessel for not only our souls, but the thing that makes us tick, our brain. It calculates our decisions, it helps us move our bodies. It's essentially us. Who we are is our brain. Everything we know, have learned, have taken in, the personality we have adapted into is right here in our skull, in a weird, mushy, red, almost intestine-like looking form of tissue that has all these nerve endings that, when we feel something, shoot off in one area of our brain that make us, say you eat chocolate and you intake the serotonin from that, it'll shoot serotonin through your nerve endings and make you feel happiness or joy or calm. So our brain is essentially what we are. Now, if a boy has been born into the wrong body, his brain is going to start to send off warning signs. It's going to say, oh, hey, this is not right. Something's wrong. This isn't us. We need to get on the path to making this right because something's just not right. You know how you get those feelings sometimes when you're sick, like with a cold? How you're like weeks before you're like, something's not, I'm gonna get sick, something's. Imagine that, but being a kid and being trapped inside your own body in someone else's body. But your mind is still you, and you're not sick. And you know you're not sick, but there's just not something right. You feel discomfort all the time. You don't want to be in your body. You don't want to exist in certain ways. And initially, your brain's going to know something is wrong before you do. Dysphoria. Now, dysphoria, a state of unease or generalized dissatisfaction with life. The origin is Greek, meaning hard to bear. Gender dysphoria. Noun. The condition of feeling one's emotional and psychological identity as male or female to be opposite to one's biological sex. To have gender dysphoria is to find your assigned birth hard to bear in ways. For people like me, being gender fluid, this can mean your chest. You have chest dysphoria. But again, it's different for every single person, so I'm going to use my own dysphoria, which I've never openly talked about to really anyone, not really even my mom. I've mentioned some of what my dysphoria is, and she's read this as it was posted on Facebook, so she kind of knows now. But my dysphoria lies in my chest. I have days where I'm okay with what's there. I'm okay that it exists there on my body. And I'll kind of dress more femme that day. But I can bind when I'm femme and still be completely fine and it not bother me. But I switch so quickly between what I feel most of the time that if I'm presenting straight femme and I have my good bra on, because I have horrible back problems, let me just say that, and most of it stems from this, and I hate that because that is a medical issue. I have arthritis in my lower back, most because me trying not to wear a bra because I don't want to, because it physically pains me to wear something that's going to make it noticeable that I have a chest that is not a androgynous non-binary chest that can't go both ways or just to nothing. And so it causes me to have back problems. Like you can see, I have horrible posture. I used to have great posture, but that was because I was forcing myself to wear girly stuff because I was scared of who I am. I was terrified of the concept that maybe I'm sinning, because my family was very, very Christian. I grew up and still live in a very, very, very homophobic, transphobic community. And it's a very God-driven community. I live in Georgia. I live in the South. I live in the pit of transphobic people. My mom does not let me go out in public binding because she fears for my safety. Not that I can bind well, because I don't have enough money for an actual binder yet, so I'm using simple ways of to just wearing baggy clothes and make it look like I'm not really But my point being is, for me, my dysphoria is in my chest, but it is also in my hips. I have major dysphoria with my hips because my hips are weird. They're bony and skinny, even though I myself am not. Hi, big person talking here. Don't know if you could tell, working on losing some of this, because not that it's a shame to be big, but for me, that is a major thing that I struggle with, because I didn't used to be this big, but I mean, I wasn't a small person, but they put me on some medicines when I was going through a really hard time, and it made me gain weight. So this is another area of dysphoria, is my weight, which doesn't really have anything to do with dysphoria, but it's an issue. That's a whole nother video. Anyway, I have dysphoria in my hips because they're very feminine hips, but they're also not at the same time. There's not a medium for them. One day they'll be existent and make my body pop. The next day they'll just not exist. I wish they would just not exist half the time. I mean, the entirety of the time, and not present femme at all, because I don't like having a curvy, almost hourglass figure. If I was a little skinnier in my waist, then I would look like an hourglass. I don't know why, but that always bothers me. It makes my mental state horrible. And also I have dysphoria with my voice. I know that's one that a lot of people are like, oh, you can't have voice dysphoria, or you can't have hair dysphoria. Let me tell you, your hair can be a major, major part of your mental health being fucked up. For me, mine being long and down to my hips was horrible. One, I have a disease or an issue where I pull it out strand by strand, but that's another video, once again. So I wanted it short for that reason, because I couldn't get a hold of it, it was short. Even now, with it at this length, I get so angry because I've had people call me sir. And I'll get this kind of happy feeling at not being called miss or she, or just generalized by my body type that I'm a girl. And when the minute I turn around, they still think, because 90% of the time they can't tell, even when I'm wearing clothing that presents, like when I was working as an elf, my shirt, the way it was built, you couldn't really tell that I had a chest. It was almost as if I was just that big. Let's put it that way. And I would speak, and immediately they would backtrack. Oh, I'm so sorry, ma'am. I'm so sorry. I'm like, did I correct you, honey? Like, bitch, do you? I don't give a shit. Call me anything. Call me she, call me he, call me they. I don't care. It's literally part of who I am. Yes, I have preferred they, them pronouns, but that's because I have bad experiences with she, her pronouns. I'm starting to experiment with using them and using he, him, because that is a part of my title as gender fluid, is that I fluctuate between all of these things. But for me, it's just that I didn't want to use he, him, because I knew that I had issues with she, her. And this wasn't even in the rant, by the way. This is just going off on a tangent at this point, or adding to it more or less, because context is needed mostly in video form. But now I'm starting to experiment with he, him, and they, them, and then I'm going to add she, her, because I feel like once I've balanced myself with these, that I'll feel more comfortable with something that I had so many issues with in the past. But my voice is a big thing for me, because a lot of times people won't know that I'm not just a person who wants to exist as a person, and not a girl, a dude, or both at the same time. That I just want to be me. And for me, that is fluctuating between those two set binary genders and all of the non-binary genders that I identify as. And my voice just causes so much trouble for me, because I apparently sound very feminine, even though to me I sound like a fucking dead, drowning rat half the time. But we're not gonna go into that. And then back to the I can bind as femme, because the reason I can bind as femme when I present femme is because not every woman has a large chest. Not every woman is as cursed, I'm going to say cursed because I find this to be a curse, others may not, be as cursed with what I have. So when I'm binding and slightly flatter than I normally am, again, the downside for me of binding, because I am cursed, I don't always present as flat as I would love to. top surgery is a huge thing I want to look into. But I know that because I am bigger, that is a thing that will have to wait until I can lose a bit of weight, because I am terrified that I would just not be able to physically get through that healthy, because I had an ankle surgery and I barely got through that. And this is not me fat shaming, this is me personally being terrified because I know what I struggled with. You may not have this problem. You may be a big person too, but you are not me. I have my own issues that I have to deal with, so don't take that personally, because that is just my struggles. And again, I struggle with my weight too. I struggle with my body image. So this is another huge thing, but this is just my personal thoughts. But I can bind femme, because you don't have to have a big chest to fit in a dress. You don't have to have a big chest to make a blouse look cute. And I can bind, obviously, when I present masc, because presenting masculine is, for me, just the guy clothes, which is what it, the guy clothes. Clothes don't have gender, like I said. But there are stereotypes in clothing, and for me, androgynous is fluctuating between the two, mixing both styles of what people see as stereotypical girl boy clothes. And I switch between doing all of that. One day I'll look super masc and I'll have like chest try to be as flat as I can, and then one day I'll be in a dress or like a blouse and look super femme with makeup on and all this stuff. But then I'll put like makeup on and I'll present masc in certain places and then look very femme in other certain places. It's, my style is very a mix of who I am, and and that's and that's who I am. I'm just me. Okay, moving on, because this got out of hand very quick. Cisgender, denoting or relating to a person whose sense of personal identity and gender corresponds with their birth sex. If a cis male can put on makeup, why can't a trans man? A trans man, I guess, is expected to be overly masculine because they've spent all of their life struggling with being put in the wrong clothing, the wrong body, and I guess it's supposed to be a stereotypical thing of you want to escape all of that when you become a man and finally transition into who you are. But if that man is just the same amount of fan of makeup as this cisgender man flouncing in makeup and doing makeup for entertainment purposes and just because he wants to, why does that make him fake trans? He wants to wear makeup because he likes makeup, not because he's feminine. Feminine. Not because he's femme. I'm just gonna say femme because I can't speak. He's wearing it because that's what he wants to do. It doesn't invalidate his gender. If a cis woman can wear pants and have short hair, why can't trans women? Trans women just want to be comfortable too. I mean, like I said, clothing doesn't have genders. Clothing items don't have gender. If a trans woman wants to wear this overly masculine outfit, they can. If they want to have a haircut like mine, they can. If they never want to grow their hair out long, they don't have to. It's just, it's not a thing that has to happen. They don't have to be this picture perfect model woman just because they were trapped for so long. They can be themselves and still be a woman and a man who were trapped for so long in the wrong bodies that finally get to transition into this beautiful version of who they really are inside. Sexual orientation. Now, A person's sexual identity in relation to the gender to which they are attracted, the fact of being heterosexual, homosexual, or bisexual. Sexual orientation has absolutely nothing to do with your gender. You can be trans and be straight. You can be trans and be asexual. There is no reason that who you want to sleep with should affect the gender that you identify as, or the validation of said gender. Just because I'm gender fluid does not mean I would have to be what I am, pansexual, gender fluid. I would not have to identify as pansexual just because I'm gender fluid. Yes, some people think, oh my god, isn't bisexuality just invalidating trans people? No, it's not. Because you can be bisexual and know that there are many different genders and support people who are those different genders or non-binary. But you are attracted to male and female genders. That does not mean you don't support the other genders. It just means you're not attracted to them, which you can't control, might I add. So if you think that bisexuality is transphobic, you're wrong and you need help. I'm sorry, that's just how I'm going to have to put it. For me, pansexuality, I've chosen, like I said, I've said before that I didn't really want labels, but some people need labels to be okay. For me, I want others to be comfortable when they speak to me. So if that means they need to 100% know what I am in that moment, gender fluid and pansexual were the two things that I was comfortable handing them on a silver platter and being, here, eat your heart out. This is who I am. But if you don't need those, that's great. Just introduce yourself to me. Hi, I'm Skylar. I'm extremely gay for girls a lot of the times. I'm extremely gay for guys. I'm extremely gay for anyone I find attractive. Or extremely in love with anyone I find attractive. Like, you want some RDJ on my plate? RDJ. We got some Jesse Page up in here. We got some... I'm trying to think of other women I like. There's like a shit ton of them, but at the moment I'm blanking. So we're just going to use Jesse Page and RDJ. And then there's Bex. Why can't I remember her? She's a voice actor. They're a voice actor. I can't think. Anyway, Bex. Just all these different people. And by the way, sometimes I'll look super femme and just have a dress on. Other times you're going to see me wearing a bow tie or something like this. Deal with it. Okay, good? Yeah, okay. Anyway, moving on. That has nothing to do with who you sleep with or are attracted to. You don't have to sleep with someone. The only reason transphobic and homophobic people exist, now this is towards the end, is because they feel threatened. Men see a man in makeup and their own masculinity is threatened because they're not secure in their own masculinity. When they see a man in makeup, they think, how dare he? That's for girls. He's challenging my masculinity because he's wearing makeup. He's going to think I have to wear makeup now because he's wearing makeup and he seems to be perfectly comfortable in who he is. Not the case. If you don't want to wear makeup, don't fucking wear makeup, dude. Don't. Women see a girl in men's boxers and feel threatened in their femininity. It's because they don't have the confidence in their own gender enough to accept that someone is proud of their masculinity and their femininity both at the same time. The reason they are threatened and hateful is because they aren't educated enough in this area to understand that gender identity and gender expression, that masculinity and femininity do not cancel each other out. There is no cancellation. You can dress feminine and still be super masculine. You can dress masculine and still be super feminine. It doesn't take away from who you are. That's why I feel that it's harsh that people are so transphobic, because really it's an insecurity in themselves, because why does it hurt you that that guy over there is wearing makeup when he's just being himself? He's not hurting you physically. There's nothing wrong with him putting on mascara or lipstick or eyeshadow or wearing a bra, for Christ's sakes. There's nothing wrong with it. So why is it bothering you? Why? Is there something so messed up in your head that you think, oh hey, because that guy over there that I'm friends with has suddenly started wearing makeup or feminine clothes, he's less of a man and he's going to expect me to start wearing bras and feminine clothes and makeup. That's not how that works. Just because someone is gay doesn't make you gay. Just because someone is trans, that doesn't make you trans. Just because someone enjoys makeup doesn't mean you have to like makeup. Just because someone enjoys Lady Gaga doesn't mean you have to like Lady Gaga. Just because I'm a huge fan of Good Mythical Morning does not mean you have to watch Good Mythical Morning for us to be friends. I don't give a shit. We don't have to like the same things. We don't have to be the same people. That's what makes this world entirely great, is that it's full of different, unique people. And none of us have to be the same. If we were all the same, this world would be a fucking shithole that was boring as fuck. And none of us would have any fun ever because we would all just be sat around the TV watching Good Mythical Morning. Yes, I just used myself as an example. And yes, by the way, I do watch Good Mythical Morning. Didn't know if I mentioned that. Anyway, and before you speak on freedom of speech, well, it's also freedom to express yourself in any ways that not harm anyone else or yourself. I don't think the girl in a suit or the guy wearing a sparkly sequin dress or that non-binary person just existing hurts you in any way. And it really doesn't hurt themselves. It's not like they've done anything to themselves that they aren't comfortable with. What's hurtful is people's words. Saying that person is wrong for being who they are is what hurts them, not themselves. You can make them think that they are the worst person in existence just because they wanted to wear a dress, or they wanted to wear a suit, or they wanted to wear a bow tie, or they wanted to wear some makeup, or they didn't want to wear any of that and they just wanted to exist in a sweater and a sweatshirt and a pair of pants that were baggy as shit. And you could make them feel like motherfucking shit just because you don't understand what it's like to be comfortable in who you are enough to be proud of it. To be proud of not having to fit that cookie cutter mold of what society thinks is perfect. And that fucking sucks. Why do you have to be a dickbag and go tell people how to live their lives when they're not hurting a fucking person in this world by being who they are? Now, if you want to go tell a pedophile to go stop fucking children, that'd be great, because that shit's just not right. That shit's not right, and that is not a sexuality, by the way. Just thought I'd add that in there because that shit's getting out of hand and needs to be stopped. Like, don't ruin this. The LGBTQ community has just gotten to the point where our voices are being heard, and these nasty ass motherfuckers want to come and ruin it. Okay, anyway. So, why don't you, instead of being so hateful to the trans LGBTQ plus community, instead of being so hateful, why don't you go sit down and use that device that you carry in your hand 24/7 and text your partner on, or text your friends on, or check your Facebook on, or tweet from? Go on that and educate yourself. Go to a library, for fuck's sake. There's shit in libraries about this stuff that you don't even look at. Go educate yourself on this stuff. Because what's driving you to be so hateful is the fear of the unknown. So if you educate yourself on something that you were too lazy to give a damn about for most of your life, you're not going to be afraid of it, because you're going to know what it is and know how to approach this kindly and without hypocrisy, without judgment. That is all we ever ask from people, is that you show the same kindness to me that if I just walked by you randomly on the street one day, that I would show to you. I'm not gonna walk by some random person on the street and be like, you shouldn't be who you are. Don't be who you are. You are a fucking disgrace to society because you are who you are. It doesn't happen that way. If I walked by someone on the street that I didn't know and that had completely different views from me, and I saw them sitting there with a sign that said they didn't have anything to eat, and if they didn't want money, they just needed a slice of bread, was all they were asking for. I don't give a shit if you're the biggest fucking bigoted asshole in the world. If I didn't know you were a bigoted asshole, I'm going in the store down the street, buying you a fucking whole ass hot plate dinner meal from the deli section and bringing it back to you and giving it to you. But why is there a reason that people can honestly sit next to a trans person or an LGBTQ person or a Christian person, for Christ's sake, and get pissed because they're different? If some bigoted asshole is gonna walk by a trans person sitting in that same spot that I've said that that person that I didn't know that could be the biggest asshole in the entire universe, that I would still give that food to, and walked by that person, walked by that LGBTQ person of any sort, or by that black person, or by that Asian person, or by the homeless person who's just sitting there with nasty clothing because they can't afford to wash it, or because they can't afford new clothing and they're not getting any help. If you walked by that fucking person and didn't give them what I would have given you, even knowing you hate who I am, that's what makes you an ass. And that's why this world is going to shit, because you have a fear of the unknown that you're too lazy to fucking fix by educating yourself on that fear. You're not going to be afraid of the unknown and people who are different if you would educate yourself on who they are. Just because you have a fear of what you don't fucking learn or have the will to educate yourself on does not give you the excuse to fucking hate an entire minority of people who are not hurting you at all. Okay, I'm sorry. This got out of hand, and I know that, and I'm sorry that it went longer than I expected it to. This video is pretty long, and I apologize, but I promise you, if I made any sense to you, and this was not a complete bullshit run of me just blabbing about shit that no one understands, then I'm happy that you understood it. And thank you for watching my videos, and it means a lot to me because I don't have a good camera. I'm using my fucking laptop currently, but I feel like there's a part of me that is meant to speak about things that a lot of people are not willing to. And I'm not going to say this is going to be my channel forever, because this is stuff that is important to me, but I also want to do things like gaming, because I have hobbies, and I want to show those things that I can do. But this is one of those things I can do. So if you enjoy this, please, 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 thank you. From the bottom of my stupid heart, thank you for watching this video, for sharing this video maybe, or subscribing to me, because, hey, maybe I'll post again. That's not a thing that I know that I'll do, but we'll try. I'm gonna try. I'm actually going to try this year. I'm going to try. I promise you I will try. Anyway, I love you, my lovely rain clouds, so much, and thank you for watching.